The night was serene as I sat in my boat, drifting on the still water, under a sky brimming with stars. Each twinkle felt like a distant eye watching, beckoning me to linger a little longer. The moon hung low, casting a silvery glow that danced across the waves. I had always found solace in these midnight outings, but tonight felt different. A sense of foreboding settling in. The air was thick, heavy, with an inexplicable tension that clung to my skin. I pulled my jacket tighter, trying to dismiss the creeping chill that slithered up my spine. Dismissing it as a mere chill, I took a deep breath, letting the calm wash over me. But the stillness was unsettling, as if the world around me was holding its breath. As I drifted further from the shore, an unsettling silence enveloped me. The familiar sounds of the forest faded away, replaced by an oppressive quiet. I strained my ears, hoping to catch a hint of life, but all that met me was the soft lapping of water against the boat. That's when I noticed it, a shadow beneath the surface. At first, it appeared to be just a distortion in the water, but as I leaned over, it took on a more defined shape. It was human-like, but contorted as if frozen in a moment of terror. My heart raced, and I blinked rapidly. Just like that, it was gone, swallowed by the darkness below. I shook my head, convincing myself it was nothing more than a trick of the light. But the unease gnawed at me, a knot tightening in my gut. I glanced at my phone. No signal, just me and the vast, indifferent night. Suddenly, a chilling whisper cut through the silence, wrapping around me like a cold hand. It was low and seductive, beckoning me with a promise I couldn't understand. "Come closer," it seemed to sigh. My breath caught in my throat as I turned in every direction, but there was no one around. The whisper persisted, a soft caress against my skin, urging me to listen. Instinctively, I felt compelled to follow the sound. I grabbed the oars, hands trembling, and began to paddle toward the source. With each stroke, the whispering grew louder, wrapping around me like an invisible shroud. The water beneath me began to churn, dark and tumultuous, as if the very lake was alive. Then I saw it. A figure emerging from the depths, pale and ghostly. A woman, her hair floating around her like seaweed, her eyes hollow and void of life. "Join us," she murmured, her voice dripping with sorrow. I felt my heart pounding in my chest, a mix of fear and morbid curiosity drawing me closer. "Who are you?" I managed to ask, my voice barely a whisper. But instead of answering, she tilted her head, her smile twisted and unnatural. The lake began to bubble, the surface roiling as if something ancient was awakening. I felt an icy grip on my heart, an overwhelming sense of dread that urged me to turn back. Suddenly the water erupted, sending a violent splash over the sides of the boat. I fought to maintain my balance, panic surging through me. The whispers morphed into anguished cries, a symphony of despair that echoed through the night. I was surrounded by darkness, the lake's depths looming like a hungry beast. Desperately, I turned to paddle back to shore, but the whispers swirled around me, now taunting, filled with malice. "You cannot escape, you belong to us." My heart raced as I glimpsed more faces beneath the surface, twisted, contorted, mouths open in silent screams. Their eyes were filled with a terror that mirrored my own. I pushed off into the darkness, the boat gliding silently over the surface. The whispers enveloped me once more, now a dissonant choir of anguish and rage. "You should not have come back," they hissed, wrapping around me like a noose. I paddled against the tide of voices, straining to see through the shadows. Suddenly, the water erupted, and the ghostly figures of the lost surged to the surface, their faces twisted in despair. They reached for me, their fingers brushing against the boat, icy and cold. "Help us," they cried, their eyes filled with an unholy hunger. I felt the darkness envelop me, the weight of their sorrow pressing down until it was suffocating. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. I was drowning in their despair, pulled toward the depths, the abyss opening wide to swallow me whole. "Please, help us," one voice cried, a child's voice, tinged with terror. My heart shattered as I realized the extent of their suffering, the injustice of their fate. I fought against the overwhelming urge to succumb to the darkness, struggling to break free. But the whispers grew louder, more frantic, and I felt my resolve waver. Join us, they wailed, a cacophony that drowned out my thoughts. I was teetering on the edge, and with each passing moment, the temptation to surrender grew stronger. Just as I thought I would be lost to the depths, a surge of clarity hit me. I remembered the stories I had unearthed, the faces, the names, the lives that had been extinguished. They needed to be remembered, their tales told so that they would not be forgotten. With a surge of strength, I shouted into the night, "I remember you. I will tell your story." The words exploded from my mouth, a desperate plea that echoed over the water. "You will not be lost." The figures paused, their cries momentarily silenced. I could feel the energy shifting around me, the air thick with anticipation. The shadows danced in response, swirling like a tempest, as if the lake itself was alive with rage and longing. "Remember us," they whispered, their voices softer now, almost pleading. I could feel their sorrow resonating deep within me, a connection that transcended the veil between our worlds. I understood then. Their anguish was a part of me now, a burden I would carry. The water stilled, and the figures began to recede, their expressions transforming from agony to something resembling gratitude. "Thank you," they whispered, fading into the depths, their eyes no longer filled with despair. I felt a weight lift from my chest, a sense of peace washing over me. As dawn broke, illuminating the sky with hues of pink and gold, I knew I had done something profound. The lake, once a place of fear and horror, now felt like a sanctuary, a resting place for souls no longer bound by their tragic fates. But even as I left the shore that morning, a part of me remained tied to the darkness. The whispers would never truly fade, a reminder of the stories that lay beneath the surface, waiting to be told. And though I had given them a voice, I knew I would always carry the weight of their sorrow, a haunting melody that would follow me into the night. And as I looked back at the still water, I realized that some places are forever marked by tragedy, the echoes of lost souls lingering, watching, waiting for the next soul drawn into their depths.